Howdy, and welcome to Underwater Flower Cutting 101. The first thing we're going to go over is the proper cutting tools that you need to use whenever cutting flowers in order to allow them to last the longest they possibly can in your vase. So one thing I brought with me is these Fiskars shears. They're actually pruning shears, and here's the package for them. They just come from Walmart. They're very inexpensive, about $8. And they're better than ordinary kitchen scissors because they allow the stem to retain the most water that it possibly can. If you use household scissors, it crushes their vascular system, and so they can't take in the optimal amount of water that they need to live as long as they can in their vase. So try not to use those. One thing you can use is a sharp knife, but you want to make sure that it's very, very sharp, because if it's not, it can do the same thing as household scissors can do and crush their vascular system. So this is the most optimal thing to use. Like I said, very inexpensive at Walmart, about $8. So after that, we're going to go ahead and move over to how to preserve your flowers in the vase. And we're going to make some floral food, and it uses sugar, bleach, lime juice, and lukewarm water. I'm going to go ahead and put on some gloves because you want to be safe whenever you're doing this, and since you're messing with bleach, you want to make sure you don't burn your skin or get it on your clothes. So just be very, very careful. I went ahead and mixed up about 1 quart of water, which is about 4 cups, just so it'd be ready, and it's lukewarm, about 100 to 110 degrees. And the first thing we're going to mix with this is 1 tablespoon of sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my sugar, and we're just going to mix up about 1 tablespoon. And then we're going to dump it into the water. And the next thing we're going to use is only a ½ teaspoon of bleach. You don't want too much because you'll kill the flowers, but about a ½ teaspoon is just enough to keep mold from growing in the vase. So about ½ teaspoon of bleach. And then we're going to use 2 tablespoons of lemon or lime juice. I chose lime juice, that's what I had in the fridge. So about 2 tablespoons. Mix it in with the water. And then just take any kind of spoon and just give it a little stir. And you already have your floral food. And this is a great way to make it at home. It's a great thing to do because you can make a whole lot of stuff, and this is ordinary things that you would keep in your kitchen, so you really don't have to buy anything really expensive. Super, super easy. And I'm going to go and set this aside because I went ahead and mixed some up in my flower vase. Only fill it about halfway full because you want to have room to put your flowers in. And I went ahead and put 1 flower in there for y'all to see. And then from there, we'll go ahead and we'll move over. I'm going to go ahead and take these gloves off. We don't need them anymore. We won't be messing with bleach. And we'll go ahead and talk about the proper way to cut flowers. This is just lukewarm 100 to 110 degree water. That's just plain that I have right here. And I have my shears. And what you're going to want to do is place it into the water, as much of it as you can. You're only going to cut about 1 inch off of the bottom of the stem. And you're going to cut it at a 45-degree angle. The reason that we cut it at a 45-degree angle is because it allows it to have more surface area at the bottom so that it can absorb more water. And you want to make sure that you keep it in the water as long as you can after you cut it. That way it can keep absorbing water, because the first thing that it does after you cut it is it tries to absorb anything that's there. So if you cut it in the air, it's going to absorb air, and then it's going to form an air bubble. So as soon as you put it in the water, there's going to be that resistance against it, and it won't be able to absorb the amount of water it needs, therefore decreasing the vase life of your plants. And then from there, we're just going to go straight over, and we're going to stick it inside of the vase with this other one. And then you can go ahead and go along, and we'll go ahead and cut the rest of these flowers and stick them in there. 45-degree angle. We'll cut them just like this. And then we'll stick them straight over here. And another thing I want to point out as well is whenever you cut it at a 45-degree angle, it also allows it to have a point at the bottom so that the flower never sits flat against the bottom of the container, whenever it sits flat against the container, water can't get to it, and so it won't be able to absorb the extra water that it needs whenever you first cut them. And along with this is these extra leaves that are hanging off. If they were lower on the stem, you would definitely want to pull them off, because these leaves, if they get inside the vase where the water is, it causes mold to form in there as well, and algae, and so you don't want that. So if they're lower on the stem, just go ahead and pull them off. They're not needed down there, so that none of them get in there. You can just go and stick them in your vase just like this. And remember that you always need to refill water if it needs it, and if you see any kind of discoloration going on, just go ahead and dump out the water and mix you up some more floral food. That's why it's good to make your own, because it's always there for you. And then you can go ahead and refill your vase. And I want to go over a little bit of safety regarding these shears. Just remember that one thing that's great about these is they actually have a latch on them, and this latch causes them to remain closed. And also, I really like these because it comes with a cover that you can actually slip on. And so anytime you're transporting them or you're passing them to someone else to use, make sure that you have this cover on, you have the safety latch so that you don't stab anybody or injure anyone. So that's great. That's something, like I said, household scissors don't have, or maybe even a knife. And so these are also great in that aspect. If you're using them in a classroom, that's even better, because the kids will love that this is on them. And other than that, I think we went over everything. And if we go ahead and incorporate STEM into this as well, this is great for fine art credit. And like we were going over the measurements, you have to use basic mathematical calculation skills in order to get them correct. So thank y'all, and I hope y'all enjoyed it.